Welcome to Tea Time, the only video game show that answers the questions no one cared enough to ask. This week's show is brought to you by Snowmen, because there's no better way to teach your kids about life and death than to make them watch their own creation melt over the course of a week. You don't really get a second chance unless you're Frosty. Actually, speaking of second chances, it's a new year. This is a chance to start over, which is also an option you get in a lot of video games. We call it New Game Plus. And on that note, well, I am glad you asked, Title Card. You see, when you finish a game, you're done, right? That's it. Well, not always. And here to help me break that down is my guest from the Castlevania series, Dracula. Hey, welcome to the show, Drac. You know, you've started over quite a few times yourself. So what brings you back from the dead this time?
It was not by my hand that I'm once again given flesh.
Well, regardless, I'm glad you're here. Now let's talk about New Game Plus is New Game Ply? One of the benefits of New Game Plus is replaying the adventure with a totally new perspective. And in the case of Ratchet & Clank Going Commando, you literally get a new perspective by unlocking first-person mode after finishing the game. It totally changes how you experience it. And in the case of Resident Evil 4, you can buy new weapons after finishing the game. You can get the Infinite Rocket Launcher and the Matilda, which is a reference to Resident Evil 2, and we'll be talking more about that later. But as far as Resident Evil 4, these give you a new, totally overpowered option for taking on the game again. So one benefit of New Game Plus is a new set of tools. I think that's pretty cool, man.
What is a man?
Well, in this case, I'm addressing the audience. You know, whatever, let's just move on to the next benefit. Some games add new twists when you replay them. The Dark Souls series is pretty infamous for ramping up the difficulty when you dive back in, but Dark Souls 2 went a little farther. Enemies will be in different places, and totally new ones will show up. Some boss battles are also remixed, and in the case of the Duke's Dear Freya, you actually get a chance to do some early damage before the real fight. And remember when I said we'd talk about Resident Evil 2? Let's do that. You see, at the beginning, you can choose between playing as Leon or Claire. Finish the game with one, and you'll get a few surprises by playing as the other. That's the only way to get the full story, and in your second playthrough, you'll have to deal with this guy called Mr. X, who shows up a few times just to cause trouble. And yes, that is exactly where they got the idea for Nemesis in Resident Evil 3. So another benefit of New Game Plus is getting new twists along the way. And in the case of Dark Souls 2, that might even give you a better look at the game's lore.
A miserable little pile of secrets.
Sure, I guess you can think of Dark Souls that way. Now we've got one more benefit, and it's definitely the coolest. I already mentioned how replaying Resident Evil gives you the full story. Well, there's another game that takes that idea to the next level, and that's Nier. I don't have time to get into all the details, and I know you don't want spoilers, so I'll just say that the game has 4 endings, and each one reveals more and more about the story until you get the full picture. This trend started back on Super Nintendo with Chrono Trigger. Once you defeat Lavos and complete the game, you can go back with all of your levels and skills intact. And now that you're strong enough, you can take on Lavos anytime he pops up during the game, and beating each one of these fights unlocks a different ending. So that's probably the coolest thing a New Game Plus can do. It gives you a path to follow so you can try over and over again and eventually learn the truth behind everything.
Perhaps the same could be said of all religions.
That's actually pretty true. Well, Drac, is there anything you want to say before you go?
But enough talk. How about you?
Whoa, okay then. Let's give it up for Dracula, everybody. So that's my answer. What does New Game Plus really offer? Well, it can give you new toys to play with, add twists to the plot, or reveal the game's true ending. And those all sound like pretty good reasons to give a game another shot. But thank you all very much for watching. If you've got some sort of question or obscure topic you'd like me to dive into, go ahead and leave that in the comments. I love checking those out every time. And for more videos and podcasts and articles, head on over to Laser Time. It's a new year, and we've still got lots of cool stuff. Thank you again, and for the first time in 2017, let's go play some video games.